All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining in tonight, or today, rather, 2 o'clock. It's not an evening thing. Go. Welcome to MCHS, the Nook 111 live stream. I'm your host, Brent Edwards, and today we'll be discussing the various ways our students can gain support from our social workers regarding their social, emotional, mental health, and well-being. We have a full panel of guests again today, including Building Principal Dr. Swimke, Director of Special Education, Mr. Passetti, and members of our social workers team, Ms. Caruso, Ms. Hamady, Ms. Kletchka, and Mr. Milnes. And as always, we'll try to find time to fit in questions from you, our viewers, as we go along. But for right now, let's kick this off. Welcome back, everybody. This week we celebrate National School Social Workers Week, and last week was Mental Health Awareness Week. We wanted to continue that conversation along today, and that's why we have this important panel of guests with us. I would also like to ask our social workers that when I kick a question to them today, that they say what campus they're from and they're located at, and what alpha slice they work with throughout the week and throughout their career. So, Mr. Passetti, let's start with you. MCHS has a robust team of social workers that provide a variety of resources to our students. Our district is very lucky to have such a group of caring professionals. Share with us what this team means to you and what they provide for our students.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. So as we know, this has been a year unlike any other year that we've experienced in education. It's been very taxing on parents, it's been taxing on our teachers, our community, and especially our kids here at school or at home, being remote. So this group has really come together this year, and we've had to do things a little differently. We have, like I said, students at home, we have students in school, and we've had to learn how to adjust with that. We've done remote sessions with students. We have students who come in one-to-one with our social workers. We have our social workers in classrooms working with students. So we fully understand that this year has been difficult. We've seen more social emotional issues with our students, and that makes sense for what's going on in the world today, in our community, in our schools, and they've just done a great job of adjusting, putting kids first, making sure our kids get the services, and someone always there to make a connection with our kids, to know that, hey, we care about kids, and that's why we're here, and that's why our social workers are here. And like I said, they do a wonderful job, and they have all year.
Great. Let's kick the next question to Mr. Milnes. Last week was Mental Health Awareness Week. What did that look like, and why did we have it?
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Like you said, my name is Mr. Milnes. I am a social worker with the Alpha Slice A through L at South Campus. And where we're located is in the Student Services office, which is right next to the nurse office and a little bit right near the dean's office. Just to go off what Mr. Passetti said, is that over this last calendar year, that there's been so many things going on in the world, the pandemic and with anxiety, and just so many kids are just struggling more than any time before. So that we wanted to talk about an area for us as social workers, for students to know where we're at, who we are, and what services that we can provide. Over this last year, we've seen an increased rate of kids going to the hospital or just coming down needing more support just because they feel overwhelmed, or they're just struggling with being able to handle, understand, and process everything that's been happening so far in our world. So what we did as social workers is that we teamed up with our physical education department. And I just want to say thank you to them for allowing us to come into their class. And that we did presentations on topics of depression, suicide, anxieties, and more importantly, ways to be able to find ways to give self-care for themselves. And we talked about and emphasized a lot with them about how important it is that they see something within themselves or with their friends to say something. because we know sometimes kids don't want to say something because they don't want to make their friends feel upset or mad. We just really wanted to reiterate with them that it's so much better to know that their friends, to be able to know that there's someone there to help them with them and work them through that. And also kids too, that it's okay to get some help because people care about them and want to make sure that they're okay. So we really wanted to make sure that kids knew that it's okay to look out for themselves, but also for our peers and that the kids that they're around each day, and kind of give them some signs too about things to look at. So outside of those presentations, what we also did is we had tables where we provided some information, some literature, some pens, some stress toys such as like fidget toys, and some articles too that were provided by local agencies, especially through hospitals around the area. And we sat and we kind of gave them out before and at the end of each day, and kind of just to touch base with kids so that they would see members of us outside of our offices, so that they can kind of see us in a different atmosphere, so that they feel more comfortable being able to reach out to us, because they can put a face to a name, or at least a hello, so that they can understand who we are and where we're at with things.
Thank you, Mr. Milnes. Next, we'll have Ms. Hamady. So why would a student come down to your office to see you? What are some of the things that you can help students with, or perhaps have helped them in the past?
So like Mr. Edwards says, my name is Ms. Hamady. I am one of the social workers at Central. I have the Alpha Slice M through Z. So we can help with anything and everything social, emotional, and mental health related. We can help with struggles inside the classroom. So that might be issues between peers or bullying. We can help with attendance issues, or even if a student is new to either the campus or the school in general, we can sit down with them, go through their schedules, or also show them around the school. We can help with things outside of the classroom. So this may be situations that are going on at home, or some students right now are struggling in that remote setting with time management and organizational skills. So we can help with that as well. Mental health wise, especially with the pandemic, we have seen a lot of anxiety, depression, and then also some suicidal ideation as well. And it's a crazy time right now. I mean, we struggle as adults trying to navigate all of this. So you can only imagine how hard it is for teens. We've also been helping families and students find outside therapists. So if they feel like they need more support outside of school, we can help with that too. We also have a list of resources that we've put together over the years of different local agencies, and that can be found on our social work website. So you would go to our MCHS page, click on the Student Service Department, and then you would find our website right under where it says social workers. But generally, we can help students with many different things. We just really want them to feel comfortable coming down to us with any question they may have. If we don't know the answer, we can research it for them, or we can kind of direct them to a person that may know better.
That's really good to know, because back in high school, I have two high schoolers right now, a son who's a senior and a daughter who's a sophomore, and it's nice to know that there isn't an issue or a situation too big or too small that they can go and get support and gain that feedback and that comfortable feeling if they need a question answered, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially with more students coming back, I know we get super excited when we have kids come down, because we miss that. We miss seeing the students. So it's nice to have them come down, even if it's a quick hi, or if they have any question, we can help with that.
Good. Well, thank you. The next question will be for Ms. Caruso. If a student wanted to come down and talk to you, but maybe they don't know how, what should they do? What does that process look like?
Yes, like you said, I'm Melissa Caruso. I have the Alpha Slice M through Z, and I'm at South Campus next to Mr. Milnes. If a student wants to talk to us, that could look a few different ways. If they're in person, they can't, and if it's an urgent, they can ask their teacher if they can go down to student services to speak to one of us. There's also QR codes on every classroom door that they can scan with their phone, and that would take them to a sign up page, so they can sign up through that means. They can also find that sign up page through the MCHS website, and that is under students and parents. They could also send us an email, and directly to us. And if they happen to email the wrong social worker, which is very common, teachers and parents have done that. We work so closely together, we just forward it to the right person. And we also have our anonymous tip line, which is a great way to reach us. And that is on the MCHS website as well. The anonymous tip line is truly anonymous, and maybe a student would want to sign up for themselves, like, hey, I don't know how to reach a parent or how to reach my social worker. Can you connect me? Like, that could happen. Or through the tip line, you can also refer a friend. Maybe you have a student has a friend, or a parent wants one of us to see their child without their child knowing that they've set that up. So there's definitely several ways to reach us.
And so, like, if a student maybe they had a bad morning, something was going on in their family situation, and they finally get to school, they're thinking they're going to be able to shake this off. They're in class, they're not able to focus. They can ask the teacher, hey, can I be removed? I need to go see a social worker. Is it that easy?
Yes.
Okay. And then, and they come in and they can just drop in. If you're not seeing anybody, you'll be able to help them in whatever.
Yeah. And if I'm meeting with a student, Mr. Milnes is just a couple doors down, and same with Miss Hamady and Miss Kletchka. They're just a door away from each other. They can also see the other social worker, or the counselors are down there too in the student service department. So they're trained also with social emotional, and they'd be happy to help as well.
Great. Thank you. The next question will be for Ms. Kletchka. So what are some of the signs that a parent can look for when it comes to depression or suicidal ideation and that kind of struggle? What kind of some of the signs that they can look for?
Yeah, so signs of depression and signs of suicide can honestly be pretty similar, but there are obvious differences as well. When a student is struggling with depression, a lot of times they can express feelings of hopelessness or self-loathing, or just kind of feeling stuck. There can also be changes in mood or behavior, appetite or weight. A lot of students will eat a lot more than they did before, or a lot less. And then also sleep patterns. Sometimes it can be really, really difficult for students that are depressed just to get out of bed in the morning. Whether that's because they couldn't fall asleep at night, or whether that's because they never feel rested, there's often a change in sleeping patterns. So depression can also be viewed as a loss of interest in activities. So if your student is saying, I really just don't enjoy playing baseball anymore, I don't enjoy going to school, I don't enjoy hanging out with my friends, that can be a sign that there's something going on. Withdrawing from others, staying in their room all the time, not hanging out with as many people. It can also be concentration problems. They start struggling in school, their grades start slipping because they're having a hard time concentrating because there's so much going on in their head. It can also come out as like unexplained aches and pains. So they just don't feel good, and there's not really an explanation for it. So those are kind of signs of depression. Like I said, some of those coincide with signs of suicide. When it comes to signs of suicide, I always like to say there's kind of 4 categories that they fall into: significant events, talk, behavior, and mood. So if a student experiences some kind of significant event, such as trauma or a life crisis, or if they have had a previous suicide attempt before, then it's more likely that they will have thoughts of suicide more often. So then the second category kind of changes in mood and also changes in behavior. Some of these, like I said before, can also be signs of depression. This can look like withdrawing from others, same as before, or losing interest in activities. It can also come out as unusual risk-taking, doing more risky things, giving away their possessions, or actually searching online for ways to end their life. So that's something that we actually look for through our lens, through our technology, is if a student is searching those things, a lot of time, or every single time, it gets brought up, and we will call them down and talk with them about it, and talk with the parents as well. Again, changes of behavior, so it can be, changes in mood. excessive sadness, dramatic mood swings. They seem really up one second and then really down the next second. It can also come out just as changes in personality in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be mood, but just personality and how they treat other people or how they treat themselves or things that they are doing that they didn't do before. The last category is kind of the one that is the most obvious almost, but sometimes also the most looked over. So it's if a student is talking about harming themselves, they're talking about killing themselves, they're talking about hurting themselves. If a student is like start saying goodbye, if they talk about being a burden to other people or having no reason to live, if they say things like they wish that they were dead or they're in unbearable pain or they're feeling trapped or hopeless or worthless. These are things that students can, and people in general, can kind of explain away when asked about it. They can say, oh, I was being sarcastic, or oh, I was joking, or oh, I didn't mean it. But every time somebody says one of these things, it's important to take it seriously. Whether you think they're joking, whether they say that they're joking, it is a sign of suicide, and it's something that, as a school we take seriously, and, we want all the rest of our students to take it seriously. We want parents to take it seriously. If your student says this, then you can say, hey, I know you're telling me that, you didn't mean it, but I'm going to go take you to talk to somebody, or I'm going to go take you to get evaluated just for my own peace of mind. And then that will show that either it will get them help that they need, or if they were kidding, it'll show them how serious the topic is and how it's not something to be taken lightly.
So with that, do you find it important, or would you recommend if a member of their friends group, if they hear this talk and a friend comes down and talks to you, do you recommend that?
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of our best information from students because it can be really difficult for them to confide in adults. So a lot of times if they're feeling this way, they'll say stuff to their peers, whether they say they're joking or whether they say they're not. It's extremely important for them to come down and tell somebody so that their friend can, or their peer, whoever it is, can get the help that they need. Like I said, it's easier for them to confide in each other than adults sometimes. So a lot of times the peers and the students are seeing things and hearing things that we're not hearing. I know that a lot of times students can be worried about, their friend being mad at them, but, we always say that, it's better to be, more careful than not. The consequences of your friend being a little bit upset with you are much better than the consequences of them not getting the help that they need and them harming themselves. So absolutely, anytime that you guys, students hear somebody talking about it or start seeing these signs and they start worrying about themselves or somebody else, we would highly recommend to let us or a trusted adult know. If you're not comfortable in talking to us, find, a trusted adult that you are comfortable talking to so that that person can get the help that they need.
Thank you. It's a heavy topic at times, that's for sure. And if anyone out there is watching and you have a question, please fill out the question there on Facebook and on the post, so these wonderful social workers can answer some of these questions right now on our live session. But going back to Ms. Caruso real quick, if a parent or a student is concerned, how can they reach out to you? What's the best way to do that?
Actually, all of our names and alpha slices and phone numbers, email addresses, all of our contact information is listed on the MCHS website, on the webpage. You'd go to that webpage, you'd click on the department section, and then from there you'd go over to the student service office, and we're all listed there. A parent can call us, and if we don't answer, definitely leave a message. Definitely they could email us or reach out, like again, even to link to that anonymous tip line if that's the first thing they see. Okay. Or you could call the main office and the secretary will transfer you over. So.
Good, thank you. Mm-hmm. Dr. Swimke, as mentioned before, this is such a great group of caring professionals. They provide so many resources for our students. How important is this to have a team like this for our district?
Well, I mean, a strong student services is a really great backbone of a successful high school. To have Shannon and Melissa and Eric and Jen on our team, joining our counselors, joining our psychologists, supporting the work that we're all about here is just amazing for us to have this type of team. We, in addition to the content that we want our kids to learn in the high school experience, we want our kids to leave here with a developed self-awareness. We want them to have self-management skills. We want them to use social awareness and interpersonal skills throughout their high school career and make responsible decisions throughout the rest of their life. And I think the reality is our kids would be in a better position of learning and relationships with others when they have those skills. Those ebb and flow throughout their high school career. They'll ebb and flow throughout their life. And the one message that we want to make sure that our kids understand here is that we want all of our students to have a personal adult advocate that they feel comfortable with, that they can come to, that they're ready to reach out to at any point. Social emotional health is not something that we should wait on or only use when we're in a crisis. It's something that we should be working on a daily basis, practicing mindfulness, understanding our own self-awareness. And here's a team of people who have specialized their professional lives in understanding that, and they're absolutely outstanding beyond. They help our students, they help our teaching staff, they help our community, and they're absolutely top notch. And they deserve all the recognition and accolades this week and throughout the course of the year.
Thank you, Dr. Swemke. Mr. Pacetti, just on our way out here, it's so important for our parents to know what we have and the resources and support needed that we provide for their students. What one bit of advice would you give parents and students that might be struggling with something big or small, just on the way out here?
Yeah, I would say reach out to us. I mean, that is the advice that I would give. Be proactive. Several of our social workers said, take it seriously. Be proactive. We are here for a reason. We are here for the kids. We're here to service families in this community. We've got 4 great social workers. We have counselors that do a wonderful job. We have 2 outstanding psychologists. We are here to serve students. We are here to help students with coping skills, with social skills, depression, anxiety. Education has changed a lot, even in the last 5 years, and especially this last year of things, kids are dealing with, families are dealing with, things are just different. Everything's so fast paced, so much information. So we are dealing with, a different kind of kid, and I would say to parents, to students, a lot of people are going through tough times. Don't be embarrassed about it. Reach out to us. Let us support you. Let us help you in the ways that we can do that. We've got a great team, and that's my number one advice would be, is to really reach out to us, be proactive, take things seriously, and that is the main advice that I would give parents.
Thank you, Mr. Pacetti. Ms. Klechka, you had real quick. What Alpha Slice were you, and what school are you at?
Yes, I forgot to say this earlier. I'm at Central Campus, and I'm Alpha Slice A through L. I also coach girls freshman basketball, so I do know some of the freshmen as well, but I am social worker at Central.
Nice, thank you. Well, listen, everybody, I just want to say thank you again so much for taking the time and talking and discussing a very important topic for our students and parents as well. Please stay tuned to our social media channels for our next live session that'll be coming up soon. Anything else on the way out? Any other nuggets of advice? No? I just want to make sure that we're good to go, and just thank you, everyone.
I'll just say, come talk to us anytime, like Ms. Hamady said, about anything. If we don't know the answer, we're not the right person, we'll get you there. So we promise we're not scary. We really genuinely want to help you. That's what our job is, and that's what we love to do. So please don't hesitate to come down and talk to us if you guys need anything.
Perfect. We'll leave it right there. Thank you again, everybody, and have a great afternoon.